From Harriet Tubman to Sojourner Truth to Rosa Parks, we have always been on a freedom run. Your LLC, your S Corp, C Corp, your business entity is what's going to give you the ability to go from your job, your industry wages, your 9 to 5 to the life of your dreams and the dream of your life. This is about you attaining all of the things that you could only possibly imagine and that our ancestors saw as not even being possible. Your freedom run? This is your freedom run. This is your moment. We're going to show you how to establish yourself as a business entity so you can go and come as you choose. There was a time when we needed permission slips to go from plantation to plantation. When you get a little bit older, you need permission slips to go from class to class. And when you get a little bit older, you get a vacation for 2 weeks, and then you have to come back after 2 weeks to your job, right? That's what they call it now, the 9 to 5, the gig. You might you work for 50 weeks and you get 2 off. The freedom run is when you establish your LLC and you're free for the rest of your life.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to your Breakfast with the Brand. My goodness, it's super exciting to be here. Sean will not be here with us. He is taking this day in honor of his father. So those that watched the last segment that we did, powerful. So let's give Sean definitely some love and shout outs for all that he does for us. Granted, we all know that he does it because he's very, very compelled. Junior is working things behind the scenes, and I will be talking to you guys this morning about Martin Luther King Day, what it means, the brand, what it means, leadership, what it means, and how all of these things come together. So on this phenomenal MLK Day, go ahead and put some flames in the chat if you're fired up. If you're fired up about freedom and the freedom you have to create freedom for others, because that's what I think is really powerful about freedom. So we say freedom's not free, but another thing that I like to say is that one of the most powerful things about freedom is having the freedom to create freedom for others. Super powerful. Booker T. Washington, one of my favorites, right? But before we dive into that, ladies and gentlemen, I just have the topic for you guys today. Who knows your dream? See, Martin Luther King had a dream. Who knows you have a dream? See, we can sometimes not speak on those things that we need to speak on. We can sometimes be quiet about things that we should be marching on. And sometimes we can do by ourselves those things that we should be doing with a mass of individuals of influence. So as we dive into this morning, just think about that. Who knows you have a dream? Put it in the chat. Like, who knows you have a dream? Does your mom know? Does your dad know? Do your kids know? Who knows? Who knows you have a dream? Does your audience know? Do you have an audience? Are you building it? Because the brand helps you get that message out. What is a brand? A brand is a way that you can let more people know that, one, you have a dream, two, what the dream is. What the dream is. It's one thing to have a dream, but if no one knows what your dream is, how do they know that your dream and their dream does not align? Because here's the thing, Martin Luther King didn't have a dream, so to speak, for himself. He had a dream for a people. He had a dream for a nation. He didn't try to tear down what America had built. He said, let's live up to the standards that we've established. He was saying, America's great. These things that you wrote in this Constitution are amazing, only if they were true for everybody. So what he was saying was that my dream isn't any different from your dream. We have the same dream. We want people to have the same ability to pursue freedom, happiness, and love and joy. Like, we want the same things. See, the thing is, sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, we don't know how to leverage the brand, how to leverage the leadership. So sometimes we feel like we're at odds with people that really want the same thing. So as we go to our first break and we come back and we talk about the real meat and potatoes of speak your truth or have no peace. Y'all probably heard it the other way around. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Speak your truth or have no peace is what we're going to be talking about when we come back from the break.
There's slow growth and then there's scale. There's incremental growth and then there's exponential growth. What I want to talk to you about is adding a zero to you and experiencing exponential scale. Incremental growth says 1 + 1 is 2. Exponential growth says 1 + 0 is 10. Incremental growth says 2 + 2 is 4. Exponential growth says 5 + 0 is 50. Guys, listen, when you add a zero to you, you can add a zero to the marketplace. You can add a zero to the value that you bring. So you can add a zero to your family, add a zero to your legacy. This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about incremental, we're talking about exponential. I always say that business is a spiritual game. Just imagine when you combine your skills, your values, your abilities, your talents to something bigger than you, something greater than you, something like the power of exponential. That is adding a zero. Add a zero to your competence, add a zero to your confidence. This is about adding a zero in your life, your value, your industry, and your mission. Let's grow. The reason why I did this and what I do is help leaders to become brands and brand themselves. You train people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. I teach authenticity marketing. If people can take advantage of you, they will in your personal or professional existence.
My biggest takeaway just from day one is you are the brand. I would recommend it to anybody that's really looking to build a personal brand.
Just the brand in general has changed my life. I've grown so much since I've been a part of this.
I see myself in what he does, and I believe in it just as much as I believe in myself.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. Who has seen the website? My goodness, who has seen the website? Is hot, is out, is launched, is ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not seen the website right now, I'm telling you, you want to get in there. You want to get in there and go deep, spend some time there, because there are so many things that we did not know about Sean Wright Easton, this phenomenal brand. So check out that banner, share this out, make sure you get in there. I see some people already saying, yes, I saw it at midnight. Yes, let's go. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. It's powerful. It's powerful what we can do when we speak our truth. Speak your truth or have no peace. So as we talk about branding and we talk about leadership and why we do what we do, as you go through this day, this monumental day, ask yourself, how am I showing up as a leader and what does leadership mean to me? Because Martin Luther King, to me, was one of the greatest leaders to ever live simply because of his ability to speak. And some people think that speaking is just your tone, it's your resonance, it's your cadence, but I genuinely believe that speaking is an art because of the communication aspect. What does your brand communicate? What do you communicate through your speaking? See, speaking is the ability to really, and I went through speaking like a leader. So when I give this to you guys, it's coming from a deep, rich space. Speaking is when you can take your origin brand story, where you come from, what you've been through, how life has molded and pressed you. And you can impress that vision upon the world and the masses and inspire them to get to a higher frequency and a higher level based on your ability to do that within yourself. Because life is so multifaceted, which is why I feel like everybody should speak. You know, speak your truth or have no peace, because what you've overcome in your life might not be what everybody's experienced, but it's what someone has experienced. Right? We're more similar than we are different. And as we build businesses and as we go through our days and we put our lives together, I personally believe that we have a responsibility, much like Martin had, a responsibility to say, this is my truth. And I'm going to shout it from the mountaintops. And as I shout this truth and I speak this truth and I bring it to you, I'm going to do so in as authentic a manner as possible. And that's what the brand is all about, helping us say those things that most people don't want said. I forget who said it, but they said that if you do not speak up against injustice, you're just as guilty as those that are committing the injustice. Pretty much that silence is not consent. Silence is association. So what are you not speaking out against that you're very passionate about? So as we go through this thing about leadership, leaders bring the most out of others. So I want to give you guys a story that I've shared before, but I'd like to share it again. It was a story about working in a shop. I was working in the shop as a Marine at this time. And as I was going through, I had another leader that was trying to teach us a lesson. The leader taught this lesson through capital punishment. During the capital punishment, they took everybody, guilty or innocent. They put us into this place and they said, hey, you're going to do burpees, military burpees. Okay, great. Right. So as we're doing these burpees and I'm examining the leadership of this person and I'm listening to the words that they're saying, and I go back after the punishment is done and I start to complain. Now, there's this individual that was the same rank as me at one point, and we were friends. Now, this person was a higher rank than me. This is leadership, guys. This story is a story about leadership and doing those tough things. We were friends, but now he outranked me. And he saw me complaining about what I had just experienced. And he said, you need to remember your place as a sergeant in the Marine Corps. That officer gave you a lawful order, and that lawful order was ethical. So for you to sit here and complain about it is not setting the best example for the military Marines that we're leading. I need you to, one, close your mouth, get yourself together. And if there's anything that you need to say about this, you take it to that person or you let it be. The reason that that was a very interesting lesson to me and a tough lesson that I wanted to share this morning is because most times when we have to speak, there's often a backlash that comes with our words. It could either be the erosion of a relationship. It could be the breaking down of a friendship. It could be the jeopardizing of a certain environment. But you still have to do it. You still have to do it. So please put some ones in the chat if you've ever been in that situation where you had to say something. And that thing that you had to say wasn't popular. It wasn't the thing that everybody wanted to hear, but it was the thing that needed to be said in the moment and you said it. That's what our businesses can do. When you build them properly, when you go through the process of building yourself, building your business becomes a megaphone. It becomes something that allows you to stand up in the face of individuals that will not speak or where other people will lack to show the courage. I need us to understand this morning that the only reason we have this holiday is because someone was willing to risk their lives to say something that most people were quiet about. That might be a good place for a moment of silence. The only reason we have this holiday today is because someone was willing to say something over and over and over again. Anybody that's ever heard his speeches know you don't just wake up speaking like that. You practice that. You memorize that. You are masterfully cultivate that. So he dedicated himself to doing something that was highly unpopular. What have you dedicated yourself to doing for the benefit of your family, the benefit of your community, the benefit of the people that you say you love and you trust and you want to be there for? Because that's what this is about. It goes deep. Sean always taught me You want to go an inch wide, right? And a mile deep. How deep is your passion? How deep is your commitment? How deep is your reverence for what you do and why you do it? Because as we come live to you this morning, everybody else is enjoying some time off. Those that might not be as committed as you, right? As committed as the brand. The brand is super committed. So committed that while everybody else is taking the day off, we said we still have to come to the people. We still have to talk about branding and leadership. We still have to talk about the things it takes because your business can't take a day off. Because injustice doesn't take a day off. These things don't take days off, which is why we can't take days off. So as we go through this and we think about our rich heritage and where we're from, what we've done, and how we used to, I'll rephrase how I was going to say that. We used to have to do things that were inhumane just for people to feel humane. Like, I need us to understand that. Like, we were written into, some of us, a constitution phrased as cattle. We were phrased as cattle, like animals. And now today, we've had presidents. We've got schools and colleges and libraries named after individuals. We have holidays that are federally recognized. And that's growth and that's progress, but it all started with a decision. It started with dedication. It started with someone saying, you know what, this isn't right. And dedicating themselves to do it. This is a sobering holiday. We might not be doing too much hooping and hollering this morning, but it's still about adding a zero. Because when you add a zero to your vision, you add a zero to your speaking, you add a zero to everything that you believe in, what tends to happen is everybody around you begins to assimilate. They begin to elevate the frequencies around you. Everybody starts to get attuned. And when people get attuned, you can add a zero to your support. Because a lot of us feel like Lone Rangers when we get started, by ourselves, on our own, figuring it out. Keep adding zeros. And before you know it, it'll be 10 people supporting the cause, 100 supporting the cause, 1,000, 10,000, and so on. As we come back from the next break, ladies and gentlemen, I need you guys to take a very serious look into what freedom you're fighting for. Why does it matter to you? And again, who knows that you have this dream?
In brand clarity, exactly what you're going to get is what it sounds like. Clarity for your brand. What is your color? What is your logo? What is your unique value proposition? Who are you speaking to? Why? How should you speak to them? How should I position myself? That's what you're going to learn in brand clarity. You need other people to have the same clarity on your brand that you do. But this is the gap. If you don't have clarity on your brand, then no one else is going to have clarity on your brand either. It's like messaging. Your message sounds clear to you, but is your end user receiving the value that you're trying to provide? I guarantee you that after you go through brand clarity, they will, and so will you. And that's how you'll scale your brand. From Harriet Tubman to Sojourner Truth to Rosa Parks, we have always been on a freedom run. Your LLC, your S Corp, C Corp, your business entity is what's going to give you the ability to go from your job, your industry wages, your 9 to 5, to the life of your dreams and the dream of your life. This is about you attaining all of the things that you could only possibly imagine and that our ancestors saw as not even being possible. Your freedom run? This is your freedom run. This is your moment. We're going to show you how to establish yourself as a business entity so you can go and come as you choose. There was a time when we needed permission slips to go from plantation to plantation. When you get a little bit older, you need permission slips to go from class to class. And when you get a little bit older, you get a vacation for 2 weeks, and then you have to come back after 2 weeks to your job, right? That's what they call it now, the 9 to 5, the gig. You might you work for 50 weeks and you get 2 off. The freedom run is when you establish your LLC and you're free for the rest of your life.
Wow. Free for the rest of your life. Ladies and gentlemen, as we go through this segment and we break some of these things down, I'd like to know in the chats, go ahead and put in the comment section, what is your dream? Do you have clarity on it? You know, in a sentence, what is your dream? What are you fighting for? Why are you up on a Monday where everybody else has the day off getting this? And again, share this out, guys. If you have not shared this out and you know someone else needs to be up, someone else needs to be fighting for freedom, someone else needs to be speaking up, go ahead and share this out. But please put in the comment section, what is your dream? What are you fighting for? Why does it matter? But in a sentence, what's the dream? So while you guys get that figured out and you all start putting things in the comment section, I want you to think about this. What are you doing with the gift? The gift that Martin Luther King gave us. You know, now granted, he didn't give it to us by himself. There were a lot of people. Rosa Parks was a part of this. Marcus Garvey was a part of this. You had W.E.B. Du Bois, Booker T. Washington. Everybody was a part of laying their rock, right? Laying their brick. But we are remembering Martin Luther King as he was the martyr. Now, as you think about this, though, what are you doing with the gift? The gift, because there was a time that we could not own businesses in the way that we own them now. We couldn't get money from traditional lending institutions as easily as we do now. Like, one of the things that pains me, because I'm in finance, guys, is we will go into debt over a car that we don't need, can't afford, but won't go into debt over our business. We'll go into debt to eat out, sleep in these hotel rooms, Four Seasons, like we shouldn't even be there right now. And we'll max it out. We'll max it out for immediate gratification instead of maxing it out for delayed gratification. And, you know, I understand it because it's marketed to us that way. I understand it because this is what we're told we should do. But if you're coming to breakfast with the brand, like, you know better, right? You know better. What do they say? If you know better, you'll do better. So we know that we've got to invest in us. So let's take a moment right now to take inventory, because it's okay if you did not invest in you originally. You invested in Gucci, Prada, Louis, Venti. It's okay if you really didn't know any better. You was like, you know, I feel like I need this in order to feel a certain way. Anybody that's read Psycho-Cybernetics knows that we perform based on how we feel, and they position so many of these cosmetic things and superficial things in a way that makes us feel as if we're not worthy unless we have them. So it's okay. I need you to understand it's okay if the marketing worked on you. It's worked on all of us. It's working on all of us. That's why we have to make sure we do what's required so that we don't have the ability to allow the wrong marketing to work on us. So what am I saying? I'm saying invest everything, all your time, all your mind, all your money. Because when you're fully invested and fully committed in a direction, then no matter what anyone else markets to you, you don't have anything else to give. Hey, my time is accounted for. My money is accounted for. My mind is accounted for. This does not align. That's how the Bible puts it this way. There's a phenomenal book, right? It says, if you cast out these negative spirits and you sweep the place clean, but you don't fill it with righteousness, so to speak, you leave it empty, then that thing that you got rid of comes back 10 and 12 times fold. Now, you don't have to be a religious person to understand the insight behind this text. It's simply saying that you can't just get something out of your life. You have to replace it to keep it out of your life. So if you're going to say, okay, I'm done spending on Fenty, I'm done spending on cars, I'm done spending on things that are not in alignment with my vision, my dream, my destiny, and you say, I've made a New Year's resolution, right? It's the 15th, and you said, I'm done with that. If you don't replace the negative thing or the thing that you no longer want to indulge in, you end up finding that that thing that you didn't want to indulge in comes back 10 times stronger. So what the scripture was saying was that you got to replace it with something, which is why I say invest. Take the money that was going here and pour it into this. Take the time that we were spending on Netflix, chilling. We're free now, ladies and gentlemen. We are free to read. Can you believe it? There was a time in this country where if you looked like me, you were not allowed to read. Real talk, you couldn't read. You couldn't read. How much time do we spend reading today after high school, after college? So I ask you again, what are you doing with the gift? How much time are we Netflixing and chilling? How much time are we scrolling and surfing the web when there was a time we could not read legally? Legally. So I implore, I ask of thee that we leverage our gifts, our tools, because there's a book that says this: you can give a poor craftsman good tools and they will create a botch of a furniture, but you could give a skillful craftsman poor tools and they will still make a masterpiece. What they're pretty much saying is that what we have access to, the money we have access to, the books we have access to, the freedoms we have access to, mean nothing to us if we as individuals aren't really leveling up. If we as individuals aren't saying there's things in me that I can work on, my brand isn't to the level it needs to be at. So those that know me, I'm body stealth wealth. That's my whole thing, right? But I call it stealth wealth because in order for the wealth to work, the stealth has to work. The stealth work means the things done behind the scenes. Your brand origin story, when I was learning this, going through Branded Like a Leader, it was saying what built you, what's behind the scenes. Guys, I need you all to get this morning. There's so much in you that if you can just let it flow, if you can just face the pain sometimes. And here it is. Here's something that came to my mind as I'm like processing this. I'm feeling it as I'm talking it. Pain precedes discovery. And we're always in a self-discovery process. Like we don't know what we're capable of until we're demanded to perform. And pain is one of the biggest things that drives us to action. You've got two motivators in life, pleasure and pain. And we know that pleasure is a motivator, but pain is a far greater motivator. And sometimes there's some things in our past, there's some things in our history, some things in our origin story that we want to forget about. Martin Luther King said, okay, it's 1960, I get it. Those things happened back in the 1800s, they happened in the 1900s, they happened in the early 30s, 40s, 50s, I get it. But we ain't faced it yet. We haven't put the due process has not been addressed on the travesties, the iniquities, the issues. This has not been addressed with enough pain yet. So he said, I'm going to speak on it in the 60s. I'm going to bring some things up that should have been dealt with properly, that's just been covered up, and I'm going to deal with it. I'm asking you, what does your business deal with? Can we go deep this morning? Like, can we go a little bit deeper? Like, when you do this right, at least, okay, it was taught to me this way. Business is a spiritual game. When you do business properly, it should go deep. It should resonate with you. It should be an extension of you. So when we talk about business and we talk about brand and we talk about leading in the marketplace and making impact and telling our stories and lifting the people and really lifting ourselves and transforming inwardly so that we can have an outward impact, guys, we sometimes have to deal with some things. You have to deal with some things. And the thing about dealing with things that I feel like is the most painful, like the most painful aspect of it, is we always want to place the blame. You know, I'll speak for me. I'll talk about me. You know, if we didn't create a problem, we always want the person who created the problem to fix it. You know, I don't know about you all, but I didn't have a dad growing up. I always kind of, for a while, wanted my dad to kind of like be there. Like I wanted my dad to kind of teach me some things. There were some things that happened in my life, in my development, some things that happened in your life, in your development, where you were the core beneficiary of the consequences, but had no role in creating the actions that led to those consequences. And when that happens, when we feel innocent and we have to go deal with some things, that's when it's like, that's where the leadership kicks in. Like leadership, as far as I have learned, and I was served 12 years in the military as well, so I've got different perspectives of leadership. One of the core components that I found about leadership is great leaders get the unit to perform at its best by getting each of the individual parts to perform at their best. And here's the thing. The leader isn't always the most talented player. The leader isn't always the smartest player. The leader isn't always the most inclined person to lead. What I have found true about most all leaders are they are the ones that can endure the most pain and still get results. They're the ones that can be disrespected and still find a way to pull the best out of that person. They're the ones that can be overlooked and underappreciated and still find a way to show up for that person. They're the ones that can say, this isn't working for you. This isn't working for you. This isn't working for you. It's working for everybody else, but you're the weakest link, and I'm going to dedicate myself to getting you to where I need to get you to. And sometimes, guys, that's what we're doing with our businesses. We're building ourselves and we're building our businesses so that we can go and address things that other people left unattended to because they were looking to pass the buck. Isn't that beautiful? Collecting bucks stops the buck. If your business is generating revenue and it's in alignment with your brand, it's in alignment with your destiny, and you're collecting buck after buck after buck after buck after buck because you stopped the buck, wow. Congratulations. That's what I feel like enterprise is really all about. At least that's what I feel like it's about moving forward. We can see big businesses are, dying out, so to speak. Like Fortune 500 companies, they still exist. They're going to continue to exist. But more and more businesses are personal brands. They're family-owned businesses. It's a cycle, and we're going back to every man for himself, every family for itself. We're not depending on pensions like we used to. We're not depending on government stipends like we used to. I'm saying all of this morning to ask you, who knows about your dream? How are you leveraging the gift that you've received? And does the buck stop with you? And that's how you're collecting your bucks. If that's your reality, then what you're creating and what you're doing for society is to be applauded. It's to be respected. And I would venture to say it's making Martin Luther King proud. As we come back from the next break, ladies and gentlemen, and we dive into this, take this break to put in the comments section what this has got you thinking about. Because we're all thinking about different things. As I'm speaking, I hope we have our pens moving. I hope we have our minds open and we're just letting this sink in, because this is a transfer of energy. It's a dialogue. It's a communication. I'm no smarter, better, more wealthy than any other person listening to this right now. I'm a man, just like you might be a man or a woman. And as we come together with a collective brand, a collective leadership, and a collective desire to do good for our country, for our people, for our citizens, like that's what this is about, to really make the world around us better. So put in the comment section what's on your mind as we've had this conversation this morning. We'll be right back.
When I think of brand you, I think of being your best self, your most authentic. The reason why we were able to crush business, absolutely dominate in business without having the marketing list, without having the email huge list, without having the Facebook ads and the advertising budget, without knowing the algorithm. The The reason we were able to do this is because I branded myself. I told my authentic story and I was comfortable in my skin. Why? Because it was that time in the world where everything was shifting. It was 2020, March. So you remember what happened during that time. It was like the world was coming to an end. So you didn't have anything to hold back. So I chose to give everything that I had and be everything that I am. And because I was that, because I branded me, because I was authentic, everything shifted. And people wanted more. And they wanted to know more about me and how they could become more comfortable in their skin. Listen, guys, when you brand you and not what you do, you're gonna add a 0 to the world, but you'll also add a 0 to your revenue. Let's grow. So when you're young, mommy tells you to play nice. Play nice, Timmy. Let all of the other kids play too. But in business, it's not about playing nice. In business, it's about winning. It's about adding multiple zeros to your revenue. Now, of course, your staff wins. And when you win, other people win. However, when it comes to competition, you absolutely must dominate. You can't play for participation, and you can't play just to get along or just to get by, because business is serious. Business will help you to change the world, or the world will change you. Your people will either win or your people will lose based on your level of leadership, what you're willing to do, what you're willing to sacrifice, and how much you know about dominating.
Dominated. I love it. I love it. So I'd like to tell you guys a story as we go ahead and bring things to the head this evening, or this morning rather. I want to tell you a story about my mom and myself, and how we came up, and some of the things that made me how I am, so that you can think about your origin brand story as well, because we all have them. Martin Luther King was raised by a pastor. His dad changed his name. They changed their names together. Martin Luther, the name change is crazy. It's crucial. I changed my name from Bobby Jackson to Bobby Stealth. Malcolm X changed his name from Malcolm Little to Malcolm X. So I want to share with you guys what my name change, where a portion of my name change came from, so that you all can kind of tap into that for yourselves and go deeper into your own brand story and start to pull out some of those things. So some of you all know that I had 3 dads before I was 16. But one of my most traumatic experiences was when my mother was married to her first husband. And it was because this was the experience that led us to the domestic violence shelter for single moms seeking refuge. So it happened on a seemingly normal day. Like, I went to school regularly. My brothers went to school. My sister went to school. We all thought everything was good. Unbeknownst to us, back at our home, there were chairs being put into circles, saran wrap put on the ground, and my mother was tied to one of those chairs. The individual had their weapon of choice that they were going to use to take us all out as a family and then end themselves. They had it all planned out. They were not my biological father, but life hit them. And they said, I'm taking out this family and myself. As my mother's tied up, he goes, gets out of the car or out of the house and begins to walk to the school. As he's walking to the school, getting ready to pick us up, take us back, tie us up, do the things he planned to do in front of us, and then take himself out, my mother shimmies, and shimmies until she gets out of the ropes. Once she gets out of the ropes, she runs out of the house, gets a screwdriver, and gets this old car in the driving way to kind of turn over, because he's already got a head start on her walking. So she's got to beat him to the school. She gets the car to turn over. Once she gets the car to turn over, she pulls out, and she's pretty much driving in a frenzy. She's got our next door neighbor with her to kind of get to the school. She gets to the school, and once she gets to the school, she goes in, gets us out early, drives us back to the house, sends us into our rooms, tells us that we've got like 5 minutes. She's like, you got 5 minutes, grab just enough clothes for 2 to 3 days, put them in this plastic bag, and we got to get out of here. We get the clothes, and it was at that moment, as I'm walking past the door and I see the door open, I'm probably 9, maybe 11 at the oldest, because I'm in elementary school, so younger than 11, like 9 or 10, and I see it. I see it all laid out. And he was super abusive, so I was like, I wasn't surprised. I told her, I was like, yeah, and I'm 8, 9, 10. I'm like, Mom, this dude is killing us when you're gone. Like, you gotta help us. And she was working so hard. She had us at 16, working so hard. She couldn't really fathom the fact that the help that she was getting was killing her kids and was literally about to kill her and her kids. So then we left. We get to the domestic violence shelter, and I see this kid on a ledge hanging outside of the window. And it's crazy when you're 8, 9 years old and you can feel depression, shame, fear, abuse, and you just see a bunch of battered, beaten women and kids that don't know what to do with themselves. So when I have my family, which is a blended family, and I have 2 sons and 3 daughters, what I'm building here and why I'm so dedicated to this unit, no matter what comes my way, is because I know that my dad left me. Just like my kids, my 2 sons, and one of my daughter's dad left them. We have a blended family. 3 of the children are not mine, 2 of the children are. Those 3 bloodlines are my responsibility now, because I know that their mother will never be beaten on my watch. Their mother will never be cursed on my watch. These kids will never be abused on my watch. And I'm building a business that allows me to give them something, so that when my daughter is in a situation, she doesn't have to stay with a man that doesn't belong there because daddy didn't build something for her, because mommy and daddy wasn't able to work things out. She doesn't have to stay in a toxic relationship because she never saw what right looks like. So when I say your origin brand story is deeper than just how can I market this? It's deeper than how can I get a sale off of this copy? It's got to go to the point where when I was this age, I saw this, and this transformed my life. And for a long time, guys, me and my mom wasn't on good terms. Like, me and my pops, we wasn't on good terms. And that stuff ate at me. That was a part of why I was homeless before I went into the United States Marine Corps. That was a part of why I raised my hand when they said, you guys are going to combat. Who wants to go? It's the likelihood of you coming home is unknown. I said, come on, man, I ain't got nothing to live for. Mom don't want me. My daddy don't want me. Nobody wants me. Let's go. Put a gun in my hand. Let me have some fun on my way out. That was my mindset. I don't think that way now, but that's the reality of our kids that are growing up that came from a slavery-based history where our families were broken up, where our men have been incarcerated, where our women are degraded, and where our kids don't get the proper support that they need to actually develop. So my business, Bobby Stealth, came from what happens behind the scenes. What happens in the dark? Well, I cry on the inside in the dark because my daddy couldn't do it for me. I cry on the inside in the dark because there were years that I didn't talk to my mom because I just couldn't look her in the eyes. But what I'm doing today will make sure that my sons can always talk to their dad. That my daughters have a strong, solid relationship with their mom. That the business that we built is something that they can hold on to and look up to and say, wow, daddy did that. Mommy and daddy worked it out. They stayed together. They weren't perfect, but they figured it out. If they can do it, we can do it. So when I say, what are you doing with this gift? Marriage, ladies and gentlemen, wasn't always so sacred for our people. They could say, oh, married, jump the broom, great. Husband's going over there, wife's going over there, wife's got mulatto babies. I hope that wasn't too far. But it's the reality. We've got a gift right now that we did not always have. And as we nourish this gift, and as we take care of it, and as we lean into it, and we make the most of it, we give other generations hope. This isn't a finger pointing session. This isn't, oh, woe is me, this happened to us. No, this is the buck stops here. Okay, great, that happened. What am I going to do about it? Okay, great, dad wasn't there for me. What am I going to do about it? What does your business do? What does your brand stand for? How much pain can your leadership sustain? Ask yourself that question. How much pain can my leadership sustain? Because we've all been through our fair share. And if you've been through your fair share, you've probably got someone else's fair share on top of yours. And if you're going to get through, if you're going to make it to the other side, it takes what it takes. It takes people not understanding why you got to do it. It takes people telling you to stop doing what you know you should be doing and you to do it anyway. It takes people abandoning you. You know the thing about betrayal, you can never be betrayed by someone that's not a friend. Like, friends are the only ones that can betray you because they're the only ones you trust. And betrayal is going to happen. And the thing is, it's not a negative thing sometimes. Sometimes it's just a process. Can your leadership sustain the pain required for your brand to be inspired and become inspiring? Because that's what MLK stood for. How many nights did his wife want him to come home and he said, I'm marching? How many days did his kids want to be bounced on his knee and he said, I'm sorry, guys, I got to write this speech. I got to work on this speech. How many times did his wife say they're going to kill you? And he say, be that as it may, this is my responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back to the brand, we're going to talk a little bit about our responsibility as leaders, our responsibility as a brand, and what we have dedicated ourselves to do through these businesses that we are building and creating, because it's so much more than just a way to make financial means. It's a way to change the world. We'll be right back.
The difference between sales and closing, I get this all of the time, guys. Closing is elegant. Closing is luxurious. Closing is the most profitable. Sales, high pressure tactics. No one associates car sales, right, the sleazy sales tactics, with closing, because closing is elegant. Closing is excellent. You have to be a professional in order to close deals. Listen, when you do this the right way, when you learn what we're going to teach you in here, your clients will be trying to close you, and they won't let you close them for low numbers. So you'll be able to heighten, increase your profitability, increase your visibility, increase your reach, and increase your impact in the marketplace, and be confident and comfortable charging higher prices than you ever thought possible to the right people who can actually pay for them and then say thank you for closing them. Confidence is key. Most of the people I work with, they have the education, the experience, and the expertise. We call those the 3 E's. But they're looking for the 3 I's, the income, the impact, and the independence. And I always tell them that the bridge between the 3 E's and the 3 I's is marrying your confidence to your competence. Most of the people I work with, again, have all of the competence in the world. What I help them do is get the confidence.
Man, one thing I will say about confidence is when you know why you do what you do and you are 100% sold and closed on it, you will be confident. Trust me, especially as you add those competencies such as closing, speaking, coaching, or whatever medium consulting that you're using to get your points across. But as we close out, guys, I want to talk a little bit about the ideal client. The ideal client. So as we build businesses, as we build brands, and as we are sharpening our leadership day after day, we're here to make money, of course. We're here to build businesses, of course. So let's talk a little bit about the business building aspect and why what we've talked about this morning is so relevant. So your ideal client oftentimes has a they have a connection to you. That connection is a resonance. It's almost like they've been where you've been. So for me, I serve veterans. I serve veterans that are looking to scale their businesses and turn their military experience into business success and financial freedom. There's a reason that's my ideal client. The reason that's my ideal client is because I've been through that walk. Sometimes we try to find ideal clients that are not in alignment with our own story because we've yet to face our story head on. We've yet to say, this happened to me, over and over and over again, devaluing my self-worth, affecting my self-perception, and sending me into various spells of depression. Like, we have real life experiences that we are separating from our business. And I think we do this because we assume that rich people or wealthy people or the individuals that can afford your prices don't have pasts. We assume that they don't have problems. We assume that wealthy people are not struggling to figure it out just as much as we are, simply because they have money. Them having money means they figured one thing out. Doesn't mean they figured everything out. And a lot of times, if we tell our authentic brand story, we can uncover some things that very wealthy people have experienced that they've yet to address. Many people that's made any amount of money in business knows that money does not solve problems, so to speak. Like, it amplifies, if anything, it amplifies the problem. It makes it more apparent, or it gives you more means to solve it with vices instead of dealing with it with character, if anything. So when I say that your ideal client, if you're really trying to close the right person, become the full person. And by become the full person, I mean go deep into your origin story, your brand story. What built you to be you? Why are you the way you are? Why are you in the industry that you're in? And learn to channel that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you need some help doing this, Branded Like a Leader is a go-to. Speaking like a leader, go-to, helping you get that story out vocally, help you vocalize that trauma into something that creates a comma, right? So just think about that. Think through that. Deal with that. What is it that you locked away in the closet? And only talk about with the people that were there when it happened, all right? If that. Some things are so painful, we don't even talk about it. Even if you were there, it doesn't come up because we've buried it that deep. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the things that drive us. Those are the subtle things that take over the amygdala and drive us into fight or flight. Those are the stealth things, the stealth work that must be done for the wealth to work. Because the moment you start speaking that idea, you start speaking your true story to your ideal client with authenticity, compassion, and confidence, there's no amount of money you can make. The more confident I get, the more authentic I get, the more real I get, the more money I've made. And that's just been my personal experience with 400% revenue growth for 3 consecutive years and counting. So today's topic as we close out is, who knows you have a dream? And speak your truth or have no peace. This was your Breakfast with the Brand. We'll see you all tomorrow, 7 a.m., same time. I do believe Sean will be back tomorrow morning. Go check out that website, ladies and gentlemen. The banner is below, and we will see you all tomorrow. Take care.